What's up, YouTube? Welcome to ExceedTheHype.com. It's your boy Lucrecio coming at you with another video. Alright, this video is about how good will the Miami Heat be next year. I personally believe the Heat will probably, for sure be a playoff team if we're talking about next season. But when we talk about how good do I actually think they're going to be. So, let's talk about the Heat for a second. The Heat are a team that's basically are trying to be built around Hassan Whiteside, which is their current center or whatever, a 7-footer who blocks a whole lot of shots or whatever. He can also shoot a little bit. He's also, a pretty good pick and roll type center. So he can still, maintain a good offense in today's NBA. He's not somebody who's gonna bog your offense down with a bunch of post looks or whatever the case may be. So he's definitely a building block for the future. And with that, Miami is putting a lot of other types of pretty good weapons around them, right? If you look at the Eastern Conference right now you currently have the Celtics and, you have the Cavaliers and the Celtics at the top, number 1 and 2. Then you have to look at Washington, who's probably going to come up with a 3 seed this season, again, just like last season. And then when you look at the 4th seed, then that's when you start to think, is it going to be the Raptors? The Raptors didn't really get better this year. Could they possibly take a step back this year? Then you look at a team like Antetokounmpo's guys, the Milwaukee Bucks. Could they take a step forward and possibly grab one of those top playoff seeds or whatever and have home court in the playoffs or whatever, at least for the first round? That's something else you would look at. Another team that you would kind of look at in there, because Atlanta took a step back. Atlanta just kind of raised the white flag or whatever, so they're not going to be a factor. Could Miami, who came on really strong at the end of the second half of last season, could Miami possibly step into that role as that team to kind of jump up in that mix for that 4th, 5th type seed? Let's look at the Miami Heat's roster, and we can make a decision on how much talent this team actually has. The team didn't have a super outstanding offseason. They had a good draft, because that's where we're going to start off at. We're going to start off at Bam from Kentucky, the big center or a power forward or whatever. Now this guy is like a chiseled power forward or whatever. We didn't see as much of him at Kentucky as we thought. A lot of people originally thought that we were going to see, a dominant big man at Kentucky playing with De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk. Well, we didn't really get that. But you kind of started to understand who Bam is when you looked at the Summer League or whatever, because he had a really good Summer League. Now, the Summer League doesn't really mean a whole lot necessarily, but to me and for a player like that or whatever, it means enough. It means that he's going to be able to score pretty easily in the NBA, I'm assuming. It means that his game is a little bit more far along than we originally thought. A lot of people thought he would be a real raw, big power player or whatever, and he's not. He has a little bit more skill than people give him credit for. So I think he's definitely going to be a pretty good piece for the Heat going forward. All right, let's talk about their point guard, Goran Dragic. So I remember this guy when he was basically little Steve Nash or whatever, when he was playing behind Steve Nash, and when you watched him play, you saw a lot of Nash's influence on his game. So those days are long gone. He's no longer little Steve Nash or whatever. What he is a serviceable point guard in the NBA. He's probably average to above average point guard. He can shoot. He can get to the basket or whatever. He's pretty good at playmaking as well. I'd like to see him. He can do these things or whatever, but I'd like to see him take a step forward and try to reach for that stardom in the NBA or whatever, because just him reaching forward will affect his play, and I think will positively affect his play. And they're ultimately going to need that, because I think that he will need more scoring or whatever. Watching them last year, the effort was definitely there every game. The effort was there. You can't ever discount the effort or whatever. But what I didn't see a lot of the times was just the talent on the floor. Where you hit a spot where, okay, we haven't scored in the 2 possessions or whatever. Who are we going to kick the ball to get us a bucket or whatever? And a lot of times, you know, that was Dion Waiters or whatever, but sometimes that isn't the best option or whatever. So I'd like to see Goran Dragic definitely take his offensive game to the next level. Probably look to become a little bit more of a scorer while still maintaining the balance, but I just want to see more out of him. I remember I thought he would be a better player than he ended up being. So I'd like to see him still reach for that better player that's inside him, because I believe he has it in him. Wayne Ellington, he's bounced around from team to team. I remember when him and the young man in Philadelphia, I forget his name right now, Gerald Henderson or whatever, we're going back at it. Gerald Henderson was obviously at Duke. Wayne Ellington was at North Carolina. I remember we were battling out. Those were the 2, you know, big stars in the ACC that year or whatever. Well, it's been a long time since then. And, you know, both these guys are kind of journeymen in the NBA. But Wayne Ellington, I always thought, you know, I thought he was a little bit better than he got credit for. However, on this team, once again, because of the kind of lack of talent that they have, Wayne Ellington is playing more of a role, a bigger role than I think he probably should in the NBA offense at this point. So, like I said, I definitely think they need some upgrades. I like Wayne Ellington as like a role player, a bench player, whatever the case may be, but like I said, I feel like they need him too much in their offense, and that's negative for the team. A.J. Hammonds, I don't know much about him. Udonis Haslem, the old timer, seems like he's been around forever. He's been around for the 2 championships. Heck, it could be 3. I don't remember whether or not he was there in 06. He probably was there in 06 as well. But anyway, he's at the end of his career, so I don't expect too much out of him. James Johnson re-signed. I thought for sure a team was going to offer him too much money and he was going to jump ship to a different team. But he proved me wrong. He ended up re-signing with Miami. I think he's a good player to have. He's definitely a big wing player or whatever. One of the players I talk about on these little videos or whatever every day when I talk about players that you need in today's NBA, wing players who can guard 1 through 3, possibly even a little bit of 4. I just feel like those are the types of players that you need in today's NBA. James Johnson is a good defender, and he's shown this past year that he has more. There's a little bit more offense to him than he gets credit for. So I believe that's definitely going to be a good thing as well for them. Once again, as long as they don't have to depend on him too much offensively. If you have to actually depend on James Jones offensively, then you have a problem, because that means you don't have enough talent on your team. But definitely as like a role player, as a glue guy, as a defender, a primary defender for wing players or whatever, he's definitely a good guy to have on your team. Tyler Johnson, the money man. The jury's still out on Tyler Johnson. He did get one of those like horrible restricted free agent contracts or whatever that I harp about. I hate those types of contracts. I think they're terrible. I think, like I said, if I had a guy on my team or whatever, and another team came and offered them some stupid contract where you make $5 million the first 2 years, and then the third and fourth year you make $20 million. Like, I was like, all right, well, that's it. Because the last thing you want is Tyler Johnson hogging $20 million a year on your salary cap. I mean, it just can't happen. That's definitely always a negative situation. But hey, it is what it is. You also have Rodney McGruder, who I heard a lot about. Once again, I didn't get to see him that much. I heard a whole lot of good things about him. So we'll see. I will be paying closer attention this year. Miami also was able to add Kelly Olynyk to the team. So that was definitely a very positive situation for them to be. Definitely a good situation for them to be able to add Kelly Olynyk to the team. I definitely think he's going to be a good addition. Once again, he's not somebody that you want to have to depend on for a lot of offensive production or anything like that. But as another guy, whether he starts or whether he comes off the bench or whatever, as another guy who could possibly help stretch the floor out a little bit and just be a general, you know, hustle guy who does the dirty work, possibly defend other fours and possibly other centers, as he's a pretty good defender as well. I think he will be a very good addition. You also have to look at Josh Richardson, who a season ago proved to be a very good outside shooter. I'm curious to see exactly what he has in store for us going forward. He does need to continue to develop as a player, but a season ago he did show quite a lot or whatever when it comes to outside shooting, and his shooting form is just beautiful. It looks absolutely wonderful. The last guy I'm going to talk about today is none other than Dion Waiters himself. Dion Waiters, the alpha dog, according to his most recent comments or whatever on Kyrie Irving possibly being traded to the Miami Heat or whatever. I just think the guy is obviously very hilarious. He's funny naturally, but he had a lot of moments last year. He had a lot of game winners. He had some big games and things of that nature. He's trying to assert himself as the primary, offensive weapon on this team. And as much as I like that, I just don't see it. At the end of the day, he's kind of a undersized shooting guard or whatever. And even though he has the attitude and he has some serious game, I just don't see him being enough of an offensive threat to be able to carry that load for the whole season. I just don't see him as a first offensive option. I just don't think he could put up the daily production in the NBA to be able to average like 25 points a game or whatever, 24 points a game, to be able to lead the team in scoring the whole season or whatever. Now, he could easily prove me wrong. I could be sitting here a year from now saying, oh, Dion Waiters is an all-star and all that stuff, and he probably will make the all-star game because it will be a lot easier this year. But I don't love him as a primary offensive option on a team. But hey, we'll see what happens, because there were situations with Cleveland when Kyrie Irving was injured, as he was often injured, where Dion Waiters was the primary offensive focus or whatever, and then they went on a little winning streak or whatever. They still missed the playoffs or whatever, but that last season before LeBron came back, Dion Waiters did lead that Cleveland team on a nice little winning streak when they were trying to make a push for the playoffs. A lot of people don't remember that. Kyrie Irving was injured during that time period. So that's what that is. And then let's see. And then there's the rookie, or he's not a rookie anymore. I can't remember his name right now for some reason. The tall guy who's a really good defender. For some reason I cannot remember his name for anything. But anyway, he's not on the roster, at least on the website at this point. But anyway, I'd like to see him, because everybody's going to know who I'm talking about. I'd like to see him take another step offensively. I think he's a good defender. He's another guy that you love to have because of his height and length or whatever, and defensive abilities. But he definitely has to become more of an offensive weapon for this team. He definitely has to make a step forward offensively. If all these things can come together and work out, I still think they need to add another piece. They need to add another piece who can help carry them offensively or whatever this season. But if they were to add one more piece, and these guys, the guys they had, the young guys, were to take a step forward in their development and get better, and then you got guys like Hassan Whiteside, and you got guys like Dion Waiters or whatever who will carry some of the load as well. I do think the Heat will definitely be a playoff team, but I think they'll be in that conversation for 4th and 5th. They're going to be one of the teams in that conversation. I do think ultimately it will end up being the Bucks who end up getting that 4th seed, because I think Antetokounmpo is going to take another step forward, and then that will push Toronto probably down to 5. So it'll be out of Toronto and Miami and whoever else is in the situation. But I do give Miami an opportunity to possibly get one of those playoff spots. All right. Leave the comments if you disagree, if you agree, or whatever the case may be. Let me know what you think, if you agree with my assessment on the team, or basically whatever. And if you like these videos, give it a thumbs up, and we'll keep them coming. All right, see you next time.